Okay, so this whole nightmare started 4 days ago when I was in the middle of my Tuesday afternoon shift. My phone kept buzzing in my pocket. 3 missed calls from my mom in like 5 minutes. When I finally got a sec to call her back, she sounded weird. Not sad weird, but like angry weird. She basically told me there was some kind of emergency family meeting, and I needed to come home right now. I asked what was going on, and she just cut me off saying, "If you're not here in 30 minutes, we're done with you forever." I mean it. My manager let me leave early because family emergency and the whole drive home, I kept thinking someone died or the house was on fire or something. I was not prepared for what was actually waiting. I pull up to the house and there's cars everywhere. My sister's Audi, my brother's truck, my uncle's car, cousins' cars, people I barely even talked to. I counted 11 vehicles before I even got inside. When I walked in, the living room was packed. 23 family members. Yeah, I counted later when trying to process this shit. Everyone from my parents to aunts, uncles, cousins, even my grandma who needs a walker to get around. They were all sitting in this weird semicircle like I was about to be on trial or something. Everyone went dead silent when I walked in. My dad stood up holding an actual folder and told me to sit down in this one chair they had positioned in front of everyone. I just stood there and asked what the hell was going on. Then it started. My dad goes on about how I'm 26, living in their house, eating their food, with no girlfriend, no kids, no career. Just a dead-end job bagging groceries. Called me a loser to my face in front of everyone. A complete disappointment. Before I could even say anything, my sister jumped in. She started going off about how embarrassing it is when her friends see me at the store. Said they laugh about it, and text her about seeing her loser brother still wearing the same clothes and living at home. She was literally sneering while saying this. Then my brother, who's always been a dick, stood up and said his 8-year-old asked why Uncle Vincent sleeps until 3 p.m. and smells like failure. Said he didn't know how to explain to his kid that his uncle is a grown man who can't get his shit together. My mom was crying, but like angry crying, saying they've given me everything, and I've done nothing with it. Then she dropped the bomb. I have 30 days to get a job that pays at least $50,000 a year or I'm dead to them. No holidays, no birthday calls, erased from the will. Called me a parasite to my face. My aunt stands up next and says they took a vote before I arrived. It was unanimous. Everyone agrees I'm cancer to the family's reputation and dragging them all down. Then my dad pulls out a fucking laptop and turns it around. They made a PowerPoint titled Vincent's Failures, a comprehensive analysis. Not even kidding. He clicked through slides documenting everything they think makes me a failure. They had charts comparing my income to my siblings, a timeline of my failed endeavors, starting from high school, a pie chart showing how much of their food I supposedly eat versus how much money I contribute. They'd been planning this for months. One by one, relatives I barely even see told me how disappointed they are in me. My grandma said she was disappointed in the man I'd become. My other aunt suggested I have undiagnosed issues, making me lazy. What none of them mentioned, I dropped out of college because my dad lost his job my sophomore year and couldn't help with tuition anymore. I didn't want massive loans. I've been working at the grocery store for 3 years because they have flexible scheduling that let me take care of my mom after her back surgery 2 years ago. The same mom who now called me a parasite. I've been saving almost everything I make to eventually go back to school. When they finally shut up, everyone just stared at me waiting for me to break down or beg for forgiveness or something. Instead, I smiled. Like actually smiled, which seemed to freak them out more than if I'd started yelling. I just said, okay, but you're all gonna regret this. Very soon. Then I walked out. Didn't slam the door or anything dramatic. Just left. I drove straight to my friend Jake's place. He's known my family for years, and when I told him what happened, he was fucking livid. Kept saying, that's some cult-level shit. They made a PowerPoint about why you suck? Who does that? Jake let me crash on his couch that night. My phone was blowing up with texts. Not apologies, but more criticism. My sister sent job listings. My brother sent an apartment listing way out of my price range with "time to grow up" as the caption. Next morning, I went back when everyone was at work to get my stuff. Just clothes, laptop, important documents, and some personal things. Left a note on my bed that said, 30 days starts now. TikTok. As I was loading my car, our neighbor Mrs. Keller came over. She's this old lady who's lived next door forever. She said she heard some of the meeting through the windows. My family is loud, and wanted to check if I was okay. She told me she's watched me grow up and knows I'm a good person. Said I always helped her with groceries and fixed her computer when it acted up. Told me not to listen to them because sometimes families can't see what's right in front of them. Almost lost it right there in the driveway. This woman who barely knows me showed more kindness in 30 seconds than my entire family had in years. I spent the next couple days at Jake's trying to figure out what to do. I had about $4,300 saved up from my dead-end job, was saving for community college classes. On day 3, something changed in me. The shock wore off, and this cold rage took over. They want to humiliate me. Give me ultimatums, make PowerPoints about my failures, fine. But they're about to learn you don't corner someone unless you're ready for them to come out swinging. I called my buddy Marcus, who works in IT. We met for beers and I told him everything. He mentioned his company was looking for someone in the support department, entry level but pays $42K. Not their precious $50K benchmark, but a start. What my family never bothered to notice is I'm actually really good with computers. Been building and fixing them since I was 14. My dad always dismissed it as playing with toys instead of a real skill. Interviewed with Marcus's company the next day. Wore Jake's suit that was too big, but I crushed the technical assessment. Got the job on the spot. Found a tiny studio apartment that night that I could barely afford on the new salary. It's in a sketchy area and definitely not nice. But it's mine. Signed the lease and put down almost all my savings as deposit and first month's rent. While setting up my new place, just a mattress on the floor, clothes in piles, laptop on a cardboard box, I kept thinking about that stupid PowerPoint. All those charts documenting my failures. And I thought, what if I made my own presentation? Not about my failures, but about theirs. What if I spent the next several months documenting every skeleton in their closets? My sister's perfect marriage that I know isn't perfect because I've overheard her crying about her husband's problem. My brother's job where he's been on probation twice for fudging numbers. My dad's business struggles. He hides from everyone. I opened my laptop and created a new document, The Family Reckoning. A comprehensive analysis of hypocrisy. They gave me 30 days to get a $50K job or be dead to them. I'm giving myself 7 months to destroy everything they think they know about themselves and each other. Day 1 of my revenge plan is officially underway, and they have no idea what's coming. Update 1. So it's been about 3 weeks since that absolute shit show of a family meeting, where 23 of my relatives ambushed me with a PowerPoint presentation about what a disappointment I am. A lot has happened, and you guys aren't going to believe what I found out. First off, the new job is going pretty well. Nothing fancy, just basic IT support stuff. But it's a hell of a lot better than bagging groceries. The people are decent and nobody's making PowerPoints about my failures, so that's a step up. My tiny studio apartment is still depressing AF though. Just a mattress on the floor, a folding table I found on Facebook Marketplace for $20, and a single chair. But it's mine, and nobody can kick me out or tell me I'm a disappointment for living there. So about a week after I moved out, I realized I'd forgotten some important stuff at my parents' house. My birth certificate, some old hard drives with photos, and this box of collectible stuff that's actually worth decent money. I checked my family's shared calendar on Google. They hadn't removed me yet, LOL. And found a day when nobody would be home. Mom had book club, dad had golf, sister had her kids' soccer practice, and brother was on a business trip, aka gambling in Atlantic City, but whatever. I still had my key, so I let myself in around noon. The house was dead quiet, and it felt weird as hell being there. First thing I noticed, they'd already started converting my room into a home gym, even though I'd only been gone for like 9 days. My bed was gone, replaced by Dad's old treadmill and some weights. Most of my posters had been taken down. My closet was emptied except for some old winter coats. They really couldn't wait to erase me, huh? I found my birth certificate in Dad's office filing cabinet and grabbed the box of collectibles from the attic. While I was up there, I noticed this cardboard box labeled Tax Docs 2018 to 2023 inches that was open. I'm not usually nosy about that stuff, but something caught my eye. A bunch of letters from the bank with final notice and foreclosure warning in red letters. I sat down right there in the dusty attic and started reading through them. Holy shit. Turns out my dad's business has been tanking for years. They've remortgaged the house twice. They're 3 months behind on payments. And the best part, the most recent letter was dated just 2 weeks before their little intervention with me. So while they were making charts about what a financial burden I was, they were literally on the verge of losing the house. The house that I was supposedly such a parasite for living in. The fucking irony. But wait, it gets better. I went to grab my external hard drives from my old desk that they'd moved to the basement. While I was down there, I heard a weird noise from the laundry room, like a dripping sound. I went to check it out and found this massive water stain spreading across the ceiling. Classic dad move, ignoring home repairs while lecturing me about responsibility. As I was looking at the leak, I noticed my sister's purse on the dryer. She must have forgotten it when she did laundry. I'm not proud of this next part, but after everything they said to me, I looked inside and found her checkbook. I flipped through it and noticed something weird. She'd written multiple checks to herself from Mom and Dad Smith, with memo lines like house repair loan or emergency funds. But the handwriting was clearly hers, not even a good forgery. I'm talking at least $15,000 over the last few months. My perfect sister, the one with the marketing job and the ideal life who called me a loser, has been stealing from our parents while they're facing foreclosure, and they have no idea. I put everything back exactly how I found it and continued searching for my stuff. In Dad's office, I needed to check if my external backup drive was in his desk drawer. When I opened it, I found a stack of betting slips. Turns out my brother's sales trips to Atlantic City aren't just occasional, they're weekly. And based on the amounts on these slips, he's dropping thousands each time. So Dad's business is failing, Mom's enabling everyone, my sister's stealing from them, and my brother's gambling away thousands while his kid asks why Uncle Vincent smells like failure. Cool, cool, cool. I was about to leave when I remembered my old laptop was still somewhere in the house. I found it in the guest room closet and booted it up to make sure it still worked before taking it. That's when I saw a notification from our family shared cloud storage that I hadn't checked in forever. I clicked on it and found a folder called Vincent Intervention with the PowerPoint they'd made, but also a bunch of other documents, planning emails going back months, a script of what each person would say, and the kicker, a document titled Financial Projections Without Vincent's Expenses. Turns out this whole "you need to grow up" intervention wasn't about me at all. They're so broke they needed my room to rent out for extra income. They were planning to list it on Airbnb the day after they kicked me out. They just needed a moral reason to justify kicking me out so they wouldn't look like the desperate, failing family they actually are. I copied all these files to my own cloud storage, grabbed my stuff, and got the hell out of there. But not before taking pictures of the foreclosure notices, my sister's checkbook, and my brother's betting slips. On my way out, I ran into Uncle Pete, my dad's brother who lives across town. We've always gotten along, but he wasn't at the intervention. He seemed surprised to see me. "Why weren't you at the family roast?" I asked him. He looked confused, then angry when I explained what happened. Turns out they didn't invite him because he and my dad had a huge fight last year. Over what? Dad borrowed $50,000 from Uncle Pete for business expenses and never paid it back. We went for coffee, and Uncle Pete told me everything. How my dad's business has been failing for 5 years. How my parents remortgaged their house to pay for my sister's extravagant wedding and to invest in my brother's startup that failed within 6 months. How they've been borrowing money from every family member with the promise of huge returns that never materialized. So that's why everyone was at that intervention. They all wanted their money back, and I was the scapegoat. Uncle Pete also told me something that made my revenge plan 1,000 times better. Apparently, my parents don't actually own our family vacation cabin outright like they've always claimed. My grandparents set it up in a family trust that all the siblings have equal claim to, including Uncle Pete. And he's willing to help me use that fact when the time is right. I've been at my new job for almost 3 weeks now, and my boss already mentioned I'm picking things up faster than expected. There's a senior position opening up in 2 months that would bump my salary to exactly $50,000, the exact amount in their ultimatum. This morning, I got a text from my mom. "Have you found a real job yet? Your 30 days are ticking away." I didn't respond. They don't know I know about the foreclosure, or my sister's theft, or my brother's gambling, or that I've got copies of everything, or that I'm working with Uncle Pete, or that I'm about to hit their precious salary goal. They thought they were holding all the cards with their stupid PowerPoint and family vote. But I've got a royal flush they don't even know about, and I'm just getting started. Update 2. Hey Reddit, Vincent here with another update on the family drama. It's been about 4 months since my last post, and the situation has gone from bad to absolutely nuclear. So last time I told you how I discovered my family's massive financial problems while getting my stuff from their house. Dad's business failing, sister stealing money, brother gambling, parents facing foreclosure, etc. Well, things have developed pretty fast since then, and I'm kind of shocked at how quickly their whole perfect family facade is crumbling. First, my job situation. Remember how my family demanded I get a $50K job within 30 days, or be dead to them? Well, I got promoted last month. My boss called me in for my 90-day review and said I was picking things up faster than anyone they'd hired in years. They bumped me to Tier 2 support with a salary of $52,500. I didn't even have to ask, they just offered it. I texted my mom a screenshot of my offer letter with just "Mission accomplished, 52.5K. She left me on read for 3 days, then finally responded with, "That's nice, when are you coming to Sunday dinner?" Like what? No apology, no acknowledgement of their ultimatum, just acting like nothing happened. I didn't respond. My apartment situation has improved too. Got a decent bed frame from IKEA, a small couch from Facebook Marketplace, and an actual desk setup. It's still tiny, but it feels like a real place now instead of just somewhere to sleep. But the real tea is what's happening with my family. About 2 months ago, I was on the phone with Uncle Pete, Dad's brother, who didn't attend the intervention and has been helping me. He mentioned offhandedly that my parents were asking various family members for emergency loans. This was interesting because according to their PowerPoint, I was the financial burden dragging them down. With me gone, shouldn't they have more money? Uncle Pete and I started comparing notes, and it turns out my parents have approached literally every family member who attended that intervention asking for money. Most have refused because Dad already owes them from previous loans. Then last month, shit really hit the fan with my sister Melissa. Remember how I found her checkbook showing she was stealing from my parents? Well, apparently she got caught. Uncle Pete told me there was a massive blow-up at a family dinner. Mom found bank statements showing withdrawals she didn't recognize and confronted Dad, thinking he was hiding money. Dad denied it, they argued, and eventually figured out it was Melissa forging checks. According to Uncle Pete, who heard it from Aunt Linda who was there, Melissa broke down crying saying she needed the money because her husband Craig lost his job 6 months ago, and they've been drowning in debt. They've been hiding it from everyone while maintaining their perfect Instagram life. The fancy dinners, the new car, the kids' private school, all financed by stolen money and maxed out credit cards. Mom apparently defended Melissa, saying she had no choice and they'd figure it out as a family. Dad lost his shit and started screaming about betrayal. Then my brother Ryan, Mr. My 8-year-old thinks you smell like failure, jumped in accusing Dad of favoritism, and it turned into a full-on family brawl. Someone threw a plate. My grandmother cried. Classic holiday special episode stuff. The next bombshell dropped 2 weeks ago. Ryan's wife Ashley called me out of the blue. We've never been close. She's always been as judgmental as Ryan, but she sounded desperate. Their 8-year-old son, the one who apparently thinks I smell like failure, had found betting slips in Ryan's car and asked what they were. This led to Ashley discovering Ryan's gambling problem is way worse than anyone thought. He's burned through their savings, maxed out credit cards, taken loans from sketchy online lenders, and even borrowed money from his workplace that he needs to replace before they notice, aka embezzlement. All while maintaining this image of successful salesman with perfect family. Ashley wanted to know if I had money to lend them because family helps family. Her exact words. I reminded her that just a few months ago, her husband was part of a family tribunal telling me I was a worthless loser who needed to be cut off. She got really quiet, then said Ryan was just trying to motivate me, and they didn't think my parents would take it that far. I told her I couldn't help financially, but suggested she talk to a lawyer about protecting herself from Ryan's debts before things get worse. She hung up on me. Meanwhile, the foreclosure situation on my parents' house is accelerating. Uncle Pete has a friend who works at the bank, small town, everyone knows everyone, and they're in the final notice stage before the bank takes legal action. Dad's business is basically dead. His last 2 employees quit because he couldn't make payroll. Remember that family vacation cabin I mentioned? The one my parents always claimed was theirs but is actually part of a family trust? Uncle Pete and I made an interesting move there. The trust requires unanimous consent from all named parties to sell or refinance the property. My parents have been trying to take out a loan against it to pay off their debts, but they need Uncle Pete's signature. He's refusing to sign unless Dad repays the $50K he borrowed. Dad can't repay it because he doesn't have it. Classic Mexican standoff. But here's where my plan gets better. Uncle Pete and I consulted a real estate attorney. Turns out, as a trust beneficiary, Uncle Pete can assign his interest to someone else. Guess who's now legally part owner of the family vacation property? Yours truly. My parents don't know this yet. They think they're just dealing with Uncle Pete being difficult. They have no idea I'm now legally entitled to vote on any decisions regarding the property. And I've got some plans for that leverage. The most ironic part? My parents are still acting like they're doing me a favor by occasionally texting to see if I want to come back to the family fold. Mom sent me a message last week saying, "We're willing to forgive your outburst if you're ready to apologize and be part of the family again." My outburst? I literally just walked out calmly while they were showing a PowerPoint of my failures. Oh, and that Airbnb plan for my old bedroom? Total disaster. They listed it for a while, but got terrible reviews because the house is falling apart. Remember that water leak I found? And Dad would get into arguments with guests about noise and parking. They've had to delist it after complaints to Airbnb. My brother Ryan is now trying to move his family in with my parents because they can't afford their mortgage. My sister Melissa and her husband are separated, and she's also talking about moving back home with her kids. The house that they couldn't wait to kick me out of is now becoming a crowded refugee camp for their successful children. I've been documenting everything. Every text, every email, every piece of information Uncle Pete shares about family meetings I'm not invited to. I've been updating my own PowerPoint titled The Family Reckoning. My 30-day deadline to get a $50K job has long passed. I exceeded their demand, and they've never acknowledged it. Not a single congratulations or we're proud of you. Just occasional texts acting like they did nothing wrong and I'm the one who needs to apologize. Last night, the final piece fell into place. I got a voicemail from my dad. He sounded different. Not angry or judgmental, but desperate. Barely even recognizable. He said he needs to talk to me about an important family financial matter and that he values my input now that I'm doing so well professionally. Translation: they're completely screwed and now want my money. The family that made a PowerPoint about what a failure I am now wants me to bail them out. I'm meeting him tomorrow at a coffee shop. I've got my own presentation ready, and they have no idea what's coming. Final update. So yesterday was the day I finally met with my dad at Starbucks to discuss the important family financial matter he mentioned in his voicemail. I got there 15 minutes early because I wanted to pick the right table, one in the corner where we'd have some privacy, but also where other people could still see us in case things got heated. I'm not gonna lie, part of me was nervous. I hadn't seen any of my family in person since that PowerPoint ambush 7 months ago. But another part of me was like, ready? I've changed a lot since then. New job, new apartment, new clothes. Nothing fancy, just stuff that actually fits. New haircut. Even my posture is different. Dad showed up 5 minutes late looking like absolute shit. Unshaven, bags under his eyes, wearing an old sweatshirt with a coffee stain on it. The guy who used to lecture me about professional appearance couldn't even be bothered to iron his pants. He didn't recognize me at first, just scanned the coffee shop looking confused until I raised my hand. When he saw me, his expression was weird. Like he was trying to look happy to see me, but also surprised by how different I looked, while also remembering he's supposed to be mad at me, while also remembering he needs something from me. His face went through like 5 emotions in 3 seconds. He sat down with his coffee, that I didn't offer to buy, and started with small talk. How am I doing? Nice weather. How's the job? As if we'd just had some minor disagreement and not a full family tribunal where he called me a loser in front of 24 relatives. I let him ramble for a few minutes before I finally cut in. So, what's this important financial matter you wanted to discuss? I asked. That's when the dam broke. He started explaining how the house is having some issues with the bank, aka full foreclosure, how the business has hit a temporary rough patch, aka completely failed, how my sister is going through a difficult separation, aka husband left after discovering theft, and how my brother is dealing with some personal challenges, aka gambling addiction and possible embezzlement. The whole time he kept using phrases like as a family and pulling together and temporary setback. Never once mentioned the PowerPoint or the ultimatum or anything they'd said to me. After like 20 minutes of this, he finally got to the point. They need $60,000 by the end of the month to stop the foreclosure proceedings or they lose the house. Mom's been too proud to ask me for help, LOL, but they're exploring all options. I just sat there for a minute, took a sip of my coffee. Then I pulled out my phone and showed him my screen. I've received 84 messages from family members in the last 72 hours, I told him. 84. Would you like to know what they say? He looked confused but nodded. I started reading them aloud. Not super loud, but enough that he was visibly uncomfortable. From Mom. Vincent, honey, we really need to talk about a family emergency. Please call me ASAP. From Melissa. Hey, little bro. I know we haven't talked in a while, but I really need your help with something. Call me. From Ryan. Yo, V. Need to discuss something important. Money related. Call me. From Aunt Linda, who called me cancer to the family. Vincent, dear. Your mother told me about your wonderful new job. We're all so proud. Would love to catch up soon. From Uncle Dave. Your father mentioned you're doing well at work. Any chance you could help out your old uncle with a temporary loan? We'll pay back with interest. There were literally dozens more just like these. Cousins who laughed at me during the PowerPoint now saying they always believed in me. Relatives who agreed I was worthless now asking for financial advice. My brother's wife who hung up on me now saying I'm the responsible one in the family. My dad's face got redder and redder as I kept reading. He finally interrupted, saying they all just miss me and want to reconnect. That's when I pulled out my laptop. I opened a folder and turned the screen toward him. Do you recognize this? I asked. It was their PowerPoint. Vincent's Failures, a comprehensive analysis. I'd found it in their shared cloud storage. His face went pale. He started saying it was taken out of context and just meant to motivate me. I clicked to the next file. Screenshots of my sister's forged checks, then the next. Photos of my brother's betting slips, then the next. The foreclosure notices, then the next. The trust documents for the family cabin, with my name now listed as a beneficiary alongside Uncle Pete. With each click, he got quieter and more deflated. When I finally closed the laptop, he just stared at the table. That's when I made my offer. I told him I was willing to help the family, but on my terms. I would not give them $60,000 as a gift or loan. Instead, I would use my savings, about $25,000 at this point, to form an LLC with Uncle Pete. This LLC would negotiate with the bank to purchase the existing mortgage at a discount, which Uncle Pete's banker friend confirmed was possible given how close to foreclosure they were. My parents would then make payments to our company instead of the bank, at a slightly lower interest rate but with strict terms. My sister would sign a formal agreement acknowledging her theft and agreeing to repayment terms. My brother would enter gambling addiction treatment and financial counseling. Most importantly, every single person who attended that intervention would record a video apologizing and explaining exactly what they said about me and why they were wrong. My dad started sputtering about family doesn't need contracts and how this was cold and businesslike. I just laughed. Was it warm and family-like to ambush me with 23 relatives and a PowerPoint about my failures? Was it warm and family-like to give me 30 days to get a job that none of you have or be cut off forever? He had no answer for that. I told him these were my terms. Take it or leave it. If they leave it, they lose the house. Simple as that. I got up to leave, and that's when he grabbed my arm. You can't do this to us, he said. We're your family. I looked him right in the eyes and said, no, you were my family. Then you voted unanimously that I was cancer. Now I'm your mortgage holder. Decide by tomorrow or the offer expires. I walked out feeling like a fucking boss. I drove home to my apartment, made some dinner, and tried to relax, but my phone would not stop blowing up. Mom calling and texting that I was breaking her heart by being so cold. Melissa alternating between begging for help and saying I was being cruel. Ryan threatening me at first, then apologizing, then begging again. Even my 8-year-old nephew, the one who allegedly asked why I smell like failure, sent a message from his mom's phone saying he misses me and wants me to come to his birthday party. Around midnight, I got an email from my dad. Just 2 words. We accept. The next day was wild. I had already set everything up with Uncle Pete and his lawyer friend. We met at the lawyer's office. Me, Uncle Pete, my parents, Melissa, and Ryan. Everyone looked terrible except me and Uncle Pete. One by one, they signed the papers. Mom cried the whole time. Dad looked like he aged 10 years overnight. Melissa couldn't even look me in the eye. Ryan kept checking his phone like he was waiting for some miracle to save him. When it was done, I handed them each an envelope. Inside was a script they needed to record on video, acknowledging what they'd said about me in the intervention and apologizing for it. I made it clear these videos weren't for public sharing. They were for me. Dad started to argue, but Mom just touched his arm and shook her head. They knew they had no choice. I also gave them each a copy of my own PowerPoint. The Family Reckoning, a comprehensive analysis of hypocrisy. It detailed everything: the failed business, the theft, the gambling, the foreclosure, the lies, the manipulation, all with charts and graphs, just like they'd done to me. Over the next week, the videos started coming in, not just from my immediate family, but from aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone who was there. Some were angry, some were tearful, some were clearly just reading the script to get it over with, but they all did it. My favorite was from Aunt Linda, who had called me cancer to this family's reputation. In her video, she could barely speak through her tears, admitting that she'd been jealous because her own son, my cousin, was actually living in her basement at age 34 and had never held a job for more than 6 months. She'd projected all her disappointment onto me. Last night, I organized everything into one final presentation. Then I sent out a group text to everyone who had attended the original intervention, inviting them to a Zoom meeting. They all showed up, all 23 of them. Some alone, some in groups huddled around the same screen, all looking nervous as hell. I shared my screen and played a montage of their apology videos, followed by a slideshow of my achievements over the past 7 months. Job promotion with salary confirmation, bank statements showing my savings growth, my apartment lease, the LLC formation documents, the mortgage acquisition papers. Then I played their original PowerPoint side by side with mine. There, Vincent's failures, next to my family reckoning. It was fucking poetry. When it was done, there was total silence. Nobody knew what to say. Finally, I spoke. 7 months ago, you all decided I wasn't worth being part of this family. You gave me an ultimatum based on a number, $50,000. I've exceeded that number. I've also discovered that while you were calling me a failure, you were all hiding your own failures. While you were calling me a financial burden, you were drowning in debt. While you were demanding I grow up, you were acting like children. I'm not cutting you off like you tried to do to me. I'm not saying you're dead to me. I'm not making a PowerPoint about why you're failures. I'm just showing you that actions have consequences. Words have consequences. From now on, our relationship is on my terms. Some of you I might forgive eventually, others never, but none of you will ever talk to me the way you did in that living room 7 months ago. Not ever again. Then I ended the call. This morning, I woke up to another flood of messages. Some angry, most apologetic, all desperate in some way. I haven't responded to any of them yet. I'm taking my time, deciding who's worth keeping in my life and who isn't. The family cabin that they were trying to leverage? Uncle Pete and I are going there next weekend. Just the two of us. He says he wants to teach me to fish, something my dad never bothered to do. My parents' house that I now partially own through the LLC, they can keep living there as long as they make the payments. If they miss one, they're out. Business is business. My sister's theft? She's on a strict repayment plan, and I've required her to take financial management classes. My brother's gambling? He's in a program now, and his wife has control of their finances. He hates me for it, but his kid might actually have a father who doesn't lose everything. Am I being harsh? Maybe, but I didn't start this. They threw the first punch with that ambush. They tried to destroy me to save themselves. All I did was survive, thrive, and then hold up a mirror. 7 months ago, I walked out of that house with nothing but a promise. You're all going to regret this. Today, that promise is fulfilled.